Today I'm going to show you all the features and all the pros and cons of this tent here, the Mid 1 by Hyperlite Mountain Gear. And that includes one feature that no one talks about, and I even researched it, looked on their official sites and couldn't find anything about it until I bought the tent. So I'll show you that as well. But yeah, let's get into all the features here. Hi everyone, this is Andrea with Adventures and Dreams, and today I'm bringing you all the features that this tent has. It certainly has quite a few of them for the size and the weight that it is, but not everyone talks about all of them. And if you're a gearhead like I am, I want to find out everything about a piece of gear before I buy it. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to go through all the features with you in all the details. And if I miss any, and you know about them, please let me know in the comments down below, and maybe I'll do a follow-up video about that. But I want to cover everything on the outside, everything on the inside, things like condensation, how to get into the tent and out, and what might be most comfortable to lay in, like the head on this side or the other side. So all this stuff is coming up right now, and I hope you enjoy it. By far my favorite feature of this tent is the lightweight. It's 16.8 ounces or 476 grams. And I was so delighted when I first held it in my unboxing video. And I compared it to my usual tent, which is a two-person tent at 3 pounds. Of course, it's not a fair comparison, but I just had to do it. I talk about the tent material quite a bit in my unboxing video, which is Dyneema, which is super strong. The floor is made of DCF10, which is the stronger version of it, and it measures 32 inches by 96 inches. Don't let this see-through material fool you, because it's super strong. The sides of the tent is made of a slightly lighter material called DCF5, but you still couldn't rip it if you tried. I really trust this material, and I've seen a lot of tests with it. And because it's so see-through, it has the added bonus that my solar panel works inside the tent, and I can charge my power banks even on a rainy day. The tent has 6 perimeter tie-outs. 4 of them are in the corners, 1 is in the back of the tent, and 1 in the front. Each of these perimeter points has an adjustable line lock, which is quite easy to loosen and tighten again. All of them are reinforced with DCF11, and they have reflective material that shines at night when you use your headlamp. The vestibule comes with a very special clip that is interchangeable. If you keep the left side clipped in, then you can open up the right door, which is your access point to your mesh door to get into the tent. This is the one I use the most. If you keep the right side clipped in, then of course you can open up the left door and you can perhaps get to your backpack or whatever you have stored there. This is a pretty neat feature, I think, and it also helps you adjust the vestibule depending on the weather, where the rain and where the wind is coming from. Let's talk about the guylines next. The tent comes with 4 mid-panel tie-outs, 1 on each side and 2 in the back. They are all reinforced, they are elastic to help the tent be more quiet, and they also have reflectors just like the perimeter tie-outs. I highly recommend that you always use these guylines, because it does stabilize the tent a bit, it makes it more quiet in the windy conditions, and it gives you a little bit more space inside the tent. The last skyline is at the top of your tent at the apex, And we'll talk about that in a little bit. When you unclip your doors completely, you have easy access to your tent and you have the most ventilation possible. Just like with any other tent, you can roll up the doors and attach it. What's special about this tent is the magnetic strap though. It's so easy to handle even with one hand. Because the material is so lightweight, you can just roll up your door with one hand, undo the strap, and redo the magnet again, all just using one hand. With both doors open, the skylight is really important to stabilize your tent, otherwise the trekking pole will just fall over again. I definitely recommend opening both doors whenever you can, because the ventilation is unbeatable this way. But even with just one side open, you can already sleep pretty well this way, and I did this on my last night in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And since we're talking about ventilation, let's look at the dual peak vents at the top of the tent. Those covers definitely protect from the rain, but I do wish that the edge was a little bit more stiff to open up those vents more, so you can get a bit more ventilation. This is how the vents look like from the inside of the tent, and of course they are covered with mesh so you don't get any mosquitoes or other critters inside your tent. Not just the vents are covered in mesh, but the entire front of the tent. Supposedly, you can open up these zippers with one hand, but I have to say that this doesn't work really well and the fabric just kind of stretches weird, and I end up just using both hands anyway. The mesh door comes with two zippers that you can pull up and down individually. If you keep these zippers on the right side, on the far side of the tent, they're actually kind of hard to reach because of the way the tent is shaped and everything is kind of narrow and tight in there. The best place for these zippers is at the top part of the door because it's so easy to reach them this way, no matter how you sleep inside the tent and even when it's dark at night. Of course, you can sleep on both sides of the tent, but it does actually make a difference how you can reach your gear once you're inside, and how to reach your zippers also. So let's look at those scenarios, starting with my head on the left side. This is actually the easiest of the two ways, because your legs don't have to bend quite the same way as you do with the other side. If you're very tall, or perhaps not super flexible, this is probably the best position for you to sleep in the tent. Since the door opens up past the trekking pole, it's still pretty easy to get to stuff in your backpack, but I find it a little bit harder to close the zippers again once you get your things out. It's definitely a little bit awkward to reach around the corner this way, and it's just a little harder to close those zippers. It's also more difficult to close the mesh door this way, because you have to lean way forward to find those zippers. So how is it when you have your head on the right side of the tent? It's definitely a little bit more difficult to get into the tent this way, because you really have to fold up your legs to move them to the left side of the tent. But because your door is right there, it's really easy to get to anything that you have outside, like your shoes or things in your backpack. You do have to reach a little bit further to get to the backpack, but it's also easier to close the zipper again because of the angle that you have right there. It's also a lot easier to reach the zippers to close your mesh door. It don't have to lean forward quite as much as you do when you have your head on the other side. You see me move from one side to the other here, and how much I have to pull my legs in to make it past that tracking pole. And here's just a quick look how to get out of the tent, which is really not difficult at all. The first feature that we'll look at is the mesh door, which you can roll up just like with any other tent, and then you can use the loop and the toggle to fasten it. This is the only pocket that this tent has, and you can put important things in like tissues, your InReach mini, or perhaps your headlamp. One of the features that's definitely missing in the tent is a little loop at the top so you can hang your headlamp or some other lamp that you might have. It's definitely a missed opportunity because it's so easy to add a strap there. It wouldn't add a lot of bulkiness or weight to the tent. But yeah, instead you just have to wear your headlamp or lay it down somewhere inside the tent. And it's not super convenient. Let's talk about the feature that no one speaks of, and that's the mesh at the perimeter of the entire tent. I looked it up on the website, I looked at official videos and videos from other creators, and no one shows this edge. Maybe it's common sense, but I didn't find out about it until I bought the tent and I saw it for myself. But yeah, this gives a lot of ventilation to the tent and makes a huge difference. There are multiple adjustment points that allow you to pull up the bathtub floor in case it's really windy and rainy. It's just as easy to loosen this again. You just push on the toggle and then you pull the cord out. If it rains without much wind, then you don't really need to do this because the ventilation is so much better when you have the floor on the ground like this. Using the space is definitely a little bit challenging at first. It's a one-person tent with just one pole and the sides are pretty slanted. But I find it easiest if you just stay on the side where the pole is and use the left side, the head space and the foot space for your storage. This is how it looks like inside the tent when you have your head on the left side and the doors on the other side of the tent. And this is how it looks like when your head is right by the door. You can see easily here that you can just grab things that are outside your tent. And it just works a little bit better, I think. And we'll take a quick look at the tracking pole with the loop at the bottom and how the tent just kind of folds over your tracking pole at the top here. This is a pretty cool construction and it's so easy to pitch. This is a pretty cool tip that I got from another YouTuber from Tea Time with J and A to cover up the tent a little bit when the sun is just too hot. You can just use your rain jacket and it works pretty well. I already mentioned that I like the ventilation of this tent quite a bit, but when the wind dies down, there is a potential for condensation, which you can see here. And the downside is because of the slanted walls, it drips right into your face and it drips onto the sleeping bag and anything else you might have inside the tent. You can see that here pretty well, and also my down jacket that I stored in the corners of my tent. To avoid getting your clothes wet, you can just put them inside a waterproof bag, like this one here that I use to inflate my sleeping pad. We covered quite a few features in this video, so let's look at the pros and cons of this tent. Let's start with the pros first. By far my favorite feature is that this tent is so lightweight. This is thanks to the material that they use, Dyneema, which is also super tough. The tent is easy and fast to pitch, and you can even do that in the rain without getting anything wet inside. I also love the different door configurations, thanks to the interchangeable clip that this vestibule has. The tent also has pretty good ventilation, although there's also a con to it. So let's look at the cons next. The tent doesn't come with stakes, a pole, or the guylines, so make sure you don't forget them. Although the ventilation is great, it could be even better if the vent openings were just a little bit bigger. There's also no loop for your tent light or for your headlamp, which I think is also a con and easily fixable.
Now my friends, I hope you liked this video about all the features and pros and cons of this Mid 1 for Hyperlite mountain gear. In my next video I'm going to show you how to break down the tent and how to fold it up so you don't get any dirt inside of it. Until then, take care my friends, and I see you on my next adventure or in my next creative video.